Declan Doyle withdrew his name from the offensive coordinator search for the Philadelphia Eagles, but then the Baltimore Ravens came calling just a few hours later, requesting to interview him for their offensive coordinator position. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Ben Johnson says that he believes he has a 5-star coaching staff, and that's why it's not surprising to him that teams are coming to poach his coaches. And Ryan Poles says the defensive line is going to be priority number one. All that, plus ESPN predicting that the Bears trade DJ Moore. We're talking about the real trade value of DJ Moore today as well. All that and more right after this. What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. So Declan Doyle officially withdrew his name from consideration for the offensive coordinator job with the Philadelphia Eagles. That came from Diana Rossini. That came down yesterday that Declan Doyle was withdrawn his name from consideration for the vacant offensive coordinator position with the Philadelphia Eagles and will remain in Chicago with head coach Ben Johnson and quarterback Caleb Williams. Doyle interviewed for the position last week, and the Eagles parted ways with Kevin Patullo. So, As of that, that's Declan Doyle staying with Ben Johnson. Keep in mind, Declan Doyle is the youngest offensive coordinator in football at only 28 years old. And at the time that we hired him, it felt like the Bears were giving him a job so that he couldn't be poached. But because of play calling duties, it could still be looked at as a promotion for Declan Doyle. And I do think there are times where Declan Doyle does call plays. Ben Johnson is the primary play caller, but Declan Doyle still has times where he calls plays. He still works on offensive strategies hand in hand with the offensive staff. He still is implementing game plans and plays and all that type of thing, as well as being the main scout for to prepare the team for the week ahead, and he scouts out teams ahead. Declan Doyle still has a lot of responsibilities here for the Chicago Bears. But the fact that he had an interview with the Eagles, and reportedly the Eagles, he left a great impression with the Eagles, it is going to signify that teams are going to come calling and looking at Declan Doyle. He's one of the young, up-and-coming offensive mind. He could be the next Ben Johnson. And so because of that, teams are going to come calling. Now the question becomes then, what are they willing to do to acquiesce to get him to stay here if that's what they decide to do? Is he going to take on even more play calling duties next season? Is he going to get to implement more plays, right? Those type of things are the questions. But then an extra wrinkle got added into this last night when Brad Biggs reported that the Ravens have officially submitted a request to interview Declan Doyle for their OC position. And so this opens up another opportunity for Declan Doyle. Now, we've seen, like, Ian Cunningham is interviewed every year basically since we hired him. We did lose Eric Bieniemy. We'll see what happens with Al Harris. But there's just no doubt about it that because of the Bears, especially the offense, which was top 10 in a lot of statistical categories last year, there are going to be teams that are looking to come and poach that. And Declan was already looked at as one of the up-and-coming offensive minds. So now we got to see what Doyle's going to do in regards to this Ravens position. Keep in mind, we hired him away from the Denver Broncos, but we'll see. We'll see. And, do I think that he's for sure going to leave? No. Do I think he's for sure going to stay? I won't necessarily say that either. We do know that it seems like he really appreciates what we're building here in Chicago, and you want players that appreciate that, or you want coaches that appreciate that love the environment that we're building, because that's how you can have a succession plan, right? And I would love for the Bears to be one of those coaches that always promote from within, that always do those type of things. We just see people that coaches that stay in the system for a large part of their careers, or maybe even they come back, right? So I would love for us to have that. But look at the Ravens and what they can offer Declan Doyle. MVP in Lamar Jackson, a former MVP there, two-time MVP. Derrick Henry at the running back position. Zay Flowers, right, is a Pro Bowl wide receiver this year. So, there is a number of playmakers down there in Baltimore that could make it very interesting for Declan Doyle to feel like, hey, maybe it is best for me to get up out of here and to go with a different staff and to start building my own legacy. So we're going to see what's going to happen. I didn't expect the Bears to lose coaches this soon. I did think it would take a couple of years. I love the staff that we built last summer, that Ben Johnson came in here, and with Ryan Poles, they spent money, they brought guys in. But you've already that's one of the downsides of success in the NFL. You have to continually find success because your coaching staff is going to get poached once you're a successful team. That's just the reality of it. That is NFL football. That's what happens around the league. And the Bears now being one of those teams, I guess there's a sense of pride in that a little bit, but at the same time, it's like we are really starting to get footing. We're really starting to build culture. I would love for us to be able to keep the guys that establish that culture. And Declan Doyle. Ben Johnson's definitely, but Declan Doyle is one of those guys as well. I would love to just keep those guys around so we can really build something and get it fully ingrained here in Chicago before we start, getting things pulled away. But fortunately, that's out of our control, and people have their own aspirations. I'm sure that Declan Doyle's dreamed about being an NFL head coach at some point, and you have to go through the steps and the progress to get there. Now, Ben Johnson was asked about his assistants and them leaving, and he said this. I told the players just a week ago that it's rare that in year one that you feel like you have a 5-star staff, and yet that's what I believe. Just over the course of this season, seeing how they conducted themselves, what they sacrificed, the time they put in, we got great collection of coaches. It's the right mix of experience, energy, and ideas. I think they're a big reason for the success that we're able to have in the games we were able to win. To your point, I do think it's a lot. I see future head coaches on the staff. I see future coordinators. I see these young coaches being future position coaches. I see that across the board as my light dies. So we have a success and you win games. Normally, that's what happens. I know we've already made some slips coming through that other teams would like to interview some of our guys, and I'm all for that, man. I want these guys to continue to ascend. Anything I can do to help them out, I think they all know I'm more than willing to do that. But a big part of what this collection of guys brought to the table was that they all wanted to be here. That was a big thing for me. I want guys that want to be here. Great, again. And Ben Johnson probably has the perspective that he does because he had to work himself up to eventually become a head coach. He had to go through being a positions coach, then a coordinator, having success in those areas, and now eventually getting the job that he said he wanted with the Chicago Bears. Now, I agree also that having guys that want to be here, that makes a difference because that means that may be the difference between somebody getting offered a job and saying, listen, this is a great opportunity, but I believe what we're building here in Chicago, I want to see this out for maybe another year, maybe another 2 years, right? Ben Johnson himself turned down jobs to stay with Detroit before taking the job with the Chicago Bears. So Ben has the right mind about it. Eric Bieniemy went back home to the Kansas City Chiefs, right? That was a team that he had already worked himself up at, and it made sense for him to go back to the Kansas City Chiefs, right? But now Declan Doyle, Al Harris, drawing interest from around the league. We're going to see if the Bears are able to retain these guys because I'm sure like year one into changing what the Bears have changed and what you did, you don't want to have to worry about a coaching staff. You want to go out and get players that coaching staff needs. But hey, like I said in the last part, this is just a byproduct of success in the NFL. It's unavoidable. If you have success in the NFL, you're going to get coaches poached. It just is. It is what it is. It's the reality of the game. It's the reality of the league. It's the reality of what the price. We talk about price. There's a price to success. And one of the prices to success is, hey, you may lose some guys that you want to keep. You may lose some coaches that you want to keep around. You may lose some guys that, hey, there's no reason that you want them to go, but they have to go, and you have to respect that as part of their journey. And Ben Johnson seems like he's ready. He's set up for that. And now we just got to see what's left after that, right? What do the Bears have left in the tank after all of that? Who are the coaches that are left here? What can we still do? What progress are we making? And that's what the game becomes about, man. But Ben is, again, continues to just show leadership in every shape, form, and facet. Leadership for his coaches, leadership for his players, and shows a level of understanding and just living in reality. It's unavoidable. So, even Ben Johnson saying, I'm going to help these guys where I can. But best believe, I fully believe, too, if Ben Johnson hey, you sure you want to leave? Hey, we can do this. What can we work out? So, we'll end up seeing. But I want to hear from you guys down on this one, right? How concerned are you as the Bears potentially lose more coaches? Eric Bieniemy's gone. Al Harris could be gone. Declan Doyle, whatever happens. How confident are you in that Ben Johnson could go out and still get the right members to replace those guys on the staff? Are you a little bit concerned about it? Do you think some of the success is a flash in the pan? You may never get another guys that fit quite as well. But I think one thing that we're seeing from Ben Johnson is that he values having creative minds in the building to bounce things off of. And that is the markings of a great head coach. I'm telling y'all that right now. A head coach that realizes everything doesn't have to be me. Everything doesn't have to be my ideas. I need guys around me that are going to be creative, that are going to take ownership in helping us create what we're doing, that in-game planning, in doing those type of things, that also want to be here. Everything that we hear from Ben Johnson just solidifies more. We got the right coach because we got the guy with the right mindset, with the right process about going out and getting it done. And it just seems like it's just the right fit. And that's something that you want. If you want your window to remain open, you got to have the right guys. But, I won't lie and say, hey, I'm a little bit concerned. But much like not many people really knew, it's not like Declan Doyle was a household name for casual football fans before he got hired here. Ben Johnson keeps his finger on the pulse of creative minds around the NFL, and I would not be surprised, especially with Eric Bieniemy, if we lose Al Harris, whatever else, if he already has some guys that he's kind of noticed throughout the grapevine, his relationships, of some guys that have really creative football minds to bring in here. But I want to hear from you guys on that. Are you confident that Ben Johnson will be able to replace this staff as we're going to lose him? It's going to happen, whether it's this season, next season, or the season after. Eventually, it's going to happen, and Ben Johnson has to have those guys in mind to replace them. But talking about replacements, the Bears' defensive line needs to be replaced, right? And Ryan Poles was asked about the defensive line. He talked about how the defensive line is going to be a priority for the Chicago Bears, saying this. There's a lot going on there just in terms of we had some injuries going on that we have to overcome. I think that's an area where we can continue to press and get better. I look forward to Shamar Turner getting back, Adayo Odeyingbo getting back. I thought Sweat did a good job this year. I think sometimes we get hung up on sacks, and sacks are important, but he did get into double digits, but I think his all-around game was good. The way he defended the run, defended the perimeter, as well as applied pressure was good. We need him to continue to get better too. We'll evaluate everything, but that's always O-line and D-line is always going to be a space where we want to get better. This is not a space where we need to want to get better. This is a space where we need to get better at, right? Now, Montez Sweat didn't have a terrible season at all, right? 10 sacks, 53 solo tackles, 13 tackles for a loss, 18 QB hits, 5 pass breakups, 3 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery in 17 games, playing all 17 games for the Bears. That's not a terrible season by any stretch of the imagination. But the Bears' pass rush as a whole was wholly disappointing this season, right? The Bears were ranked near the bottom of the league with 35 sacks in 2025, right? We saw that in games where opposing quarterbacks were able to just sit back in the pocket. They took time and they picked apart the Chicago Bears secondary, which was riddled with injuries all season long. There's a direct relationship between the pass rush and the pass coverage, right? So now, with that said, what Brian Poles needs to do is focus on the defensive line in much the same way he did the offensive line last season. He has to improve this defensive line. This defense, I really feel this Bears team is a consistent pass rush away from being a team that can legitimately go to the NFC Championship, from a team that can legitimately have a shot at winning a Super Bowl. If you have better defensive line performance, and your secondary is healthy, because I still think we got a very talented secondary. It just wasn't healthy at all last season. Jalen Johnson was never healthy at any point last year. Kyler Gordon barely played last season, and in the last few games wasn't healthy. Jaquan Brisker, had a great season, and one of his best games was one of the most important games of the season. Kevin Byard's been consistent. We already seen what Terrell Smith and Tyreek Stevenson can do. Zay Flowers as a young guy in the wings that Dennis Allen is very excited about as well, right? So we have tons of potential in that secondary, and even questions on if we're going to bring guys like Nashawn Wright, who's a Pro Bowler, back, or a CJ Garner-Johnson back, right? So I think we have what we need in the secondary when healthy. We still need depth there because I think after last season, you're not going to want to bet on health there, right? But if you can get a pass rush together for this team, I think the sky's really the limit for the Chicago Bears team. And I need to see Ryan Poles make a concerted effort to get this defensive line improved. You can do it through the draft. You can do it through free agency. There's a number of free agents. Trey Hendrickson is a guy that's out there that's available. Right now, you have to do something to clear space, but he's a guy that's definitely available. A Max Crosby, right? It could actually be available in trades. We'll see how that happens. He seems unhappy where he is. Put yourself in an opportunity in a space to take advantage of that and then actually improve where your team is, improve your standing, improve that defensive line. I'm telling y'all, I fully believe it. We improve that defensive line. We have better health next season. I already think this offense is going to make a step in the right direction as well next season. I really think this offense is going to take that step up in red zone scoring performance. I think we're going to see that. I think Ben Johnson's going to have those things focused on and how to work those into the game plan. I think we may even see a better running attack because I still don't think drafting another running back is off the table for the Bears. And then growth from Rome, from Luther, all those type of players. This team could really be better next season. And Ben Johnson's already talked about, hey, it's no building off of it. We're back building from the ground up. And he has the right mindset about it. Now we just got to see how we're going to go out and attack it. Because if the Bears get this defensive line shored up, I really think we're going to be one of the best teams of the entirety of the season in the NFC. Still not going to be easy. The NFC North is still going to be a dogfight next season. but you need dogs on that defense in those trenches to be able to be in those dog fights. That's what we've seen throughout the NFL history. Teams that have really good trenches, above average trenches, are the teams that win consistently and do it. So we'll see. We've already seen what having an offensive line did for our running game. Like, look at how DeAndre Swift was this year. Look at how Kyle Monangai was this year. But DeAndre Swift was his last year, and behind a bad offensive line wasn't nearly as explosive as he was this year. So, those things matter for this team. And let's go out here and let's get this defensive line improved. Let's go out here and get that done. If Ryan Poles puts his money where his mouth is on this defensive line and leaving and looking at everything, reviewing everything, analyzing everything, let's go out here and get the improvements that we need, because Chicago's waiting for this. The team's waiting for this. And if you get it done right, we could be talking about us actually going even further than where we were this year. But one of the things to do that is you're going to have to find what to do with the cap. Like, the fact of the matter is the Bears already are $4.3 million over the salary cap, which has led to a lot of things are going to have to get done between restructuring contracts, trade of players. There's going to have to be a lot that gets done, cutting some players. That's going to happen as well. ESPN has already made a prediction on DJ Moore, though. They said this. Big prediction for the offseason. The Bears will trade wide receiver DJ Moore, as the future of the position seems set with Rome Odunze and Luther Burden III. Most of Moore's money is tied up in salary, not bonuses, what makes it possible for Chicago to trade him even with 4 years left on his contract. At 29, he should still be enticing to teams in need of wide receiver play. Now, there's no doubt that last year can be looked at as a down year for DJ Moore, right? It's just the reality of it. 50 receptions, 682 yards, 6 touchdowns. It was a down year for him. He played all 17 games. There was time where he was not prioritized. And I think the thing that we're going to have to see here is Ryan Poles said that DJ Moore cares about winning anything. And I think you have to test that, because if DJ Moore is really focused on winning, who hasn't done a lot of winning over his career, are you willing to restructure your contract so that we can add what we need, so that we can get over this hump and win more games? If he's willing to do that, then cool, you don't have to trade DJ Moore. But if he is not, and you do have to end up making a move on DJ Moore, I want to talk about the trade value of DJ Moore. And I want to take a snapshot look. During the 2026 season, he's going to be 29 and 30 years old, right? And we just talked about his stats from last year: 50 catches, 682 yards, 6 touchdowns. He had a clutch moment against the Packers for a game winner. There's no doubt about that. He played all 17 games. Tough son of a bitch. Every time DJ Moore goes down, you pretty much can bet he's going to get his ass back up, right? So while this was technically a down year, but context does matter. You had younger wide receivers emerging with Rome Odunze and Luther Burden. The offense shifted under Ben Johnson as well. His target share definitely got dropped some, right? But he's still a legit elite wide receiver that he can be in most offenses, right? So what's that mean for the value for him or for the Bears? He has 4 years remaining on his contract, $24 million average per year, right? Most money tied to salary, so it's not bonuses, which is huge. The reason why that's huge is easy to trade, minimal to no dead cap paying. Acquiring team can also restructure his contract, and the Bears can gain real cap flexibility that trade him, because it's not a toxic contract. There's not a lot of dead money on it, right? When you look at the comparable to the market for him, you got Stephon Diggs, who's 30 years old, right? He's coming off a drama-filled year. He got a second-round pick back. Keenan Allen, who went to the Bears, right? 1 year left on his deal, got a 4th-round pick back. A.J. Brown returned a 1st and a 3rd-round pick, but he's much younger and he's ascending, right? So the realistic trade value for DJ Moore at 29, not 26, productive but not elite numbers, right? Manageable contract. I think you're looking at a floor for DJ Moore trade at a late 3rd-round pick. That's probably the floor that you're looking for. More realistic, probably early 3rd or 4th and a 5th package. The ceiling, a late 2nd-round pick. That's probably the best that you're getting for DJ Moore. All of those, like the top 2, I'll take. I'll take a 3rd for DJ Moore. I'll take a late 2nd for DJ Moore, right? I do think that the ceiling, though, if you want the best version of that deal, it takes a few things. A, you have to have a contender that's desperate for wide receiver help. You either have to have that or maybe injury at some point in the offseason. You have to look at teams that have that type of urgency: the Bills, the Raiders, the Titans. Those are probably the teams that are going to have the most urgency in regards to something like that, to where the Bears can get the most value back. So I do think the Buffalo Bills, great fit. They need a wide receiver number 1, but they're over the cap. They'll probably offer a 3rd and a conditional pick. You have the Las Vegas Raiders, right? Huge cap space. A rookie QB, which they're going to need to support. They could offer a 3rd-round pick and a late pick on top of that. I think this is the best leverage play for the Chicago Bears in regards to DJ Moore. And then you have the Tennessee Titans. $90 million in cap space, a new regime that's in there could offer up a third-round pick outright for it. So I think that's what it comes down to it, right? If DJ Moore is traded by the Chicago Bears, it means one of a few things. One, Rome Odunze and Luther Burden are firmly the future. They have no doubts about what they're going to have. They're willing to remove that safety net, find a slot, which is going to be cheaper than DJ Moore. They want the cap flexibility to add to the D-line, which is, of course, there. Or if Ryan Poles just sees a player that he wants to target and wants an extra day 2 pick draft ammunition, which is huge there. With the relief that we can get from trading DJ Moore, you can get a premium edge, you can get an interior defensive lineman, or you can find your safety replacement if you're not re-signing Jaquan Brisker. So I think that those are the things there. But there are risks involved too. If you do trade him, it puts more on the development of Rome Odunze to develop now, right? Rome Odunze and Luther Burden and Colston Loveland to develop now, right? The more financial flexibility, which is great. Draft capital is really good. But you lose a veteran. You lose that. You lose somebody who's proven it to be able to make plays in the clutch. And Caleb Williams loses an experienced target that he has there. So we'll see there. I think that Poles is probably going to aim for a second, come down to high third with additional capital maybe later on in the draft. I think that's really good when it comes down to it for him. So DJ Moore to a contender. The Bears get for a third-round pick, additional 2027 fifth-round pick. I think that's what the Bears need to focus on here, and we'll see if they can get it done. But let me know what you guys think on all that down below, man. That's going to do it for today's episode of Chicago Bears Central. We'll continue covering everything as it happens throughout the season. We'll cover it, man. But coaches get poached. Players get rumored in trades. Your GM gets pressure to upgrade the weaknesses. That's contender energy right there. The question now is simple. Can the Bears level up again in the 2026 season? Drop your thoughts down below in the comments. Are you trading DJ Moore? How aggressive should Poles be about fixing the defensive line? Let me know those thoughts down below. You can follow us at Chi Bears Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that's thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. That's the wrong one. That's the wrong one. Bear down, Chi-Town up, bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.